Good day, everyone. I will be the reporter for this topic, which is about the story of Orion in Greek mythology and its counterpart, biblical story of Jonah and the whale that can be read in the Bible of the Old Testament. But before we proceed to the discussion, let us first know the learning objectives that I have here. So at the end of this lesson, we are able to gain understanding of the story the hunter Orion in Greek mythology. Second, we are able to identify the similarities and connections of Orion's life to the biblical story of Jonah and the whale. And lastly, you are able to demonstrate your understanding of the lesson throughout a short reflective essay. And also, before we go on to the formal discussion, I had prepared a proverb which I think the message is connected to the topic. So this proverb is James chapter 2 verse 10 said that, "For whoever keeps the whole law but fails in one point has become accountable for all of." It just means that if we are to disobey something, we should be accountable to what consequences it may cause to us and to other people. We should also be accountable to every actions that we might do, because we really don't know if what we do can cause a better or worse outcome. And so now let me discuss to you a short overview of the lesson. So the story of Orion was widely told and retold throughout the ancient Greece. There are different tales of stories about this, and there are also different names, places, and details that are varied between versions, with different regions of Greece claiming the original tale for themselves. But a basic outline of the story of Orion can still be ascertained. Next is the characters. So here are the characters involved in the life of Orion, and as well as the characters involved in the story. Of course, we first know who is Orion. So Orion is said to be a giant huntsman with a great skill and ability to walk on water. And his ability came from his father. He was the son of the sea god Poseidon and Euryale, the daughter of King Minos of Crete. Orion is also well known for his love affairs and many relationships to different women. And another character is Merope. She is a mortal princess and a daughter of the king of Chaos, whose name is King Oinopio. She is the girl that Orion fell in love with and wanted her to be his wife. However, Merope's father did not want Orion for her. Next character is Artemis. She is Orion's friend and secret admirer. She is also the goddess of hunt, moon, and chastity. There are also claims that Artemis is also one of the reasons why Orion died, and later on we will know if this claim about Artemis is true. The next one is Oinopion. He is the son of Dionysus and Eurydice, the king of Chaos, and the father of Merope, who didn't want Orion for his daughter. He is also the one who gauged the eyes of Orion because of what the giant did to her daughter. The next character is Sedalion. Sedalion is the assistant of Orion that gave by Hephaestus to help him get around. And Sedalion helped him find the direction of the sun, the direction of the sunrise that can bring back his vision. Another is Side or Side. Side is the first wife of Orion. They had two daughters called the Coronides. Side died because of Hera. And the last character is Apollo. Apollo is the brother of Artemis, who is jealous to Orion. After knowing the several characters involved in the story, let us now discuss the different claims about the birth of Orion. And based on my researches and readings on the internet, there were various claims and assumptions about the birth of Orion, and I just listed here three major claims about his birth. According to this one claim, Orion was the son of Euryale and Poseidon, who gives him power to walk on the water. But later, there are some myths that gives another version of Orion's birth. Some also says that Orion was the son of the poor shepherd called Hyrieus. Hyrieus' biggest desire was to have a child. And when the three gods named Poseidon, Hermes, and Zeus stopped by his house, he was being generous with his guests, and he is not aware that the three visitors are gods. And because of his generosity, the three gods grant him a wish, which is to have a child. And the gods told him to bury the hide of the bull and pee on it. And after 9 months, a boy was born in that place, and that is Orion. And then the last claim is that Orion was born out in Gaia, when Zeus, Poseidon, and Hermes united in a bull hide and buried it in the earth. That is why his name was Orion, which came from the word urine. And this claim is also connected to the claim about Hyreus. Next here is, if there were various claims about Orion's birth, there were also various claims and accounts or versions about Orion's death. And according to the first version, Artemis was said to have killed Orion when the giant forced his attention upon the Hyperborean maiden Eupis, a handmaid of Artemis. However, the second version claims that Orion died because of Apollo's trickery plan when he became jealous to the closeness and companion of Orion and his sister Artemis. Another claim about his death is said to be done by the Gaia. Gaia is the goddess of the earth, and Orion died when the Mother Earth brings a monstrous scorpion to fight with Orion under the sea. So these are some versions claiming the death of Orion. And now, upon knowing the story, we will be able to know if all these claims and accounts are true, or some of it is just an assumption. And now, let us move on to the brief discussion of the story. So, Orion was blessed by his father with the ability to walk on water. And he was most well known for his relationship with Artemis. But that was only one part of his life. Artemis was not even his first or second companion. Orion has his first wife who named Side. They had two daughters who they called the Coronides. However, Side died because of Hera. Orion became a fabulous hunter, and before he was full grown, he was known all across the Mesopotamia because of his skills. Although he is a strong man, he cannot live by hunting alone, so therefore he needed a girl by his side. And when he arrived on the chaos, he fell in love with Merope. Merope is the daughter of Oenopion and the granddaughter of Dionysus. Orion and Merope share the same background, and then since Orion fell in love with Merope, he wanted to marry the princess. However, the king didn't want Orion for his daughter, and to be able for Orion to prove his worth, he served the king Oenopion to be his huntsman for a time. Orion did everything and worked for the king Oenopion to get the king's good side, but unfortunately, all the things that Orion did was all useless, and that was everything Orion did wasn't too successful. And because Orion was not a very patient guy, he is tired of waiting for the king's blessing to marry the princess. And when he gets tired of waiting, he just intentionally raped Merope. And the king didn't like what he did. But because Orion was a huge man, the king didn't try to confront him. Instead, the king made a plan and waited for his chance to kill Orion. And when Orion was dead drunk, the king gauged out the giant's eye and put him out of the sea. Orion just wandered around for a good portion of his life until the day he bumped into Hephaestus. Not too surprising since Hephaestus' lameness made him a keep lookout for others like him. Hephaestus took pity on Orion and gave him an assistant to help him get around. With a boy named Sedalion sitting on his shoulders to give him directions about the place where the sun rises. And Orion walked east until he came to the end of the earth where the sun rises. There the sun rays that restored Orion's vision. Now that Orion could see again, he later returned to Chios for him to revenge to King Oenopion. However, the king hid himself in an underground chamber and could not be found. And then afterwards, Orion subsequently traveled to Crete where he met Artemis. And then he joined Artemis in hunting party for a time. He earned the goddess affection, which made him an enemy of Apollo. Apollo was jealous of his sister's companion and strove to kill Orion. He heard Orion boasting he could hunt all the animals on earth and taking the opportunity. So Apollo informed his great grandmother, the Earth, which is the Earth goddess Gaia. So Gaia sent a giant scorpion to attack Orion. Orion fled into the sea where his abnormal height kept his head above the water and away from the scorpion. So seeing no other way to turn, and knowing that his skills and ability as well as his weapon were no match for the beast, through the trickery, envy, and jealousy, Apollo had another target in mind. So the head he pointed at in the distance was Artemis. Artemis is the companion of Orion. So Artemis, as true as ever to her skills, took her arrow with complete accuracy, and the arrow hurtled straight and through across the trembling waves until it bumped directly was nothing but fatal who it hit, and Orion was dead. So that was the end of the story. However, there are the continuation of the story where after Orion died, the Mother Earth placed him among the stars and Orion became one of the constellations. And after knowing the story of Orion mythology, let us now know why the story is connected to the biblical story of Jonah and the whale. And these are the similar scenarios and character traits that I found on the stories. So the first scenario is that Orion and Jonah have the same traits where they also both did bad deeds and actions. Orion intentionally raped Merope because of his eagerness to marry the princess, and his impatience to wait for the perfect time for the king to accept him as his daughter's companion. His action come with the unintended consequences, and because of what he did, the king gauged his eyes and lost his vision. So the same scenario on the story of the Jonah and the whale, when God ordered Jonah to go to the city of Nineveh to warn people to stop sinning and repent to God. And another scenario is when Hephaestus advised Orion to go to the Helios to find where the sun rises that can bring his vision. And like on the story of Jonah and the whale, God asked Jonah to go to the city of Nineveh to warn the people and repent and preach the God. Next scenario is when Gaia sent Scorpion to the sea to fight with Orion and kill him. But because the Mother Earth knows that Orion confident that he can find and hunt all the animals because of his power and ability, but Gaia challenged him that he can fight back. It is similar to when God sent a huge storm and a whale that swallowed Jonah for 3 days, a reason for Jonah to preach God and ask for forgiveness. And these are similar scenarios that we can see on the stories of Orion and Jonah. And for this topic, I listed here 2 takeaways from my understanding of the lesson. So the first one is that every wrong deeds and actions that we did also carries unintended consequences. So it doesn't matter of how small or big the bad actions we did, because all the wrongdoings that we did have its consequences too, that maybe can bring negative effects on us and to other people around us. Another takeaway is that we should always think before we act upon a problem. So sometimes when we have problems or when we get frustrated about something, we sometimes forget to think first before we decide to take actions and decisions that we will regret in the end. And this story of Orion can give us a lesson that we people should always think twice or thrice before making any decisions, so that we will not suffer for the consequences it may cause at the end. And that's all po for my report. Thank you po for listening and have a great day.